We're going through a digital transformation of everything. Apple represents a digital transformation of telephones and cameras, and Google's the transformation of books and libraries. Bitcoin represents a digital transformation of capital. 99.9% of the capital in the world is tied up in real estate and stocks and precious metals and bonds. And so we're 0.1% transformed. People, as they get educated on digital assets, are realizing that they ought to be allocating more and more of their capital to this digital asset. And so they're moving from 0.1 to 0.2%. And I think that's really driving the trend. I've said before, if Bitcoin's not going to zero, it's going to 1 million.
Michael Saylor, the billionaire business executive and founder of the Virginia-based software firm MicroStrategy, once again foresees substantial increases in Bitcoin's price. Saylor, a prominent Bitcoin investor and enthusiast, believes that most of the essential steps have been taken to elevate Bitcoin from a mere digital asset to a significant institutional asset. According to him, this transformation will lead to Bitcoin being held on the balance sheets of most, if not all, institutional investors. Saylor emphasizes a crucial development from a few months ago when the U.S. Financial Accounting Standards Board unanimously voted in favor of fair value accounting for crypto assets held on corporate balance sheets. This rule change allows companies to immediately reflect gains and losses on their income statements regarding crypto holdings. Saylor, who had advocated for this change for years, sees it as a pivotal move eliminating a major obstacle to corporate adoption of Bitcoin as a treasury asset. In addition to the accounting rule changes, Saylor expresses optimism about the potential approval of a spot Bitcoin exchange-traded fund and the 2024 halving event. He sees these factors as significant contributors to Bitcoin's popularity among institutional investors and anticipates the journey toward $1 million per Bitcoin. Clips from Saylor's recent interview with CNBC, along with other bullish news about Bitcoin and the potential approval of a spot Bitcoin ETF, will be shared in the upcoming segments.
Please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to drop your comment and observations in the comment section below. Thanks and enjoy the video.
There's a lot of uncertainty around the rest of the crypto ecosystem, but the one certain element of the ecosystem is Bitcoin is universally acclaimed to be a global commodity or an asset without an issuer. So the one thing we can count on is Bitcoin goes forward in the year 2024, and a strategy built around Bitcoin is generally a pretty safe one for institutions. You know, we welcome fair value accounting. It's gonna create much more transparency and clarity in P&Ls and balance sheets for any companies that are holding Bitcoin. I think the real significance is that there are companies like Berkshire Hathaway and Apple Computer that have $100 billion plus in cash. And right now they have to invest it in treasuries and sovereign debt. And with this change in fair value accounting, you're going to have a commodity that's valued as fair value, and it becomes a legitimate treasury reserve asset for publicly traded companies. I've said before, if Bitcoin's not going to zero, it's going to 1 million. The real question is it legitimate asset? If it's a legitimate institutional asset, everybody is underallocated to it. Education makes a difference. Institutional adoption makes a difference. The spot ETF news is good news. Loosening of monetary policy is good news. Inflation anywhere in the world drives Bitcoin adoption. And of course, the halving is going to cut the available supply of Bitcoins for sale in half from the miners. And so we've got a confluence of very bullish milestones over the next 6 months. And I think smart money is investing into that ahead of it.
In recent months, as the excitement surrounding ETFs has persisted and resonated throughout the investment landscape, there has been a noticeable shift in Michael Saylor's approach during his orange pilling sessions and Bitcoin-related interviews. Initially focused on retail investors, Saylor has now redirected his efforts towards engaging institutional investors, who currently wield control over tens of trillions of dollars. The existing regulatory environment prohibits these institutional giants from direct Bitcoin investments, but this landscape is expected to evolve in 2024. Saylor is not alone in his growing bullish stance on Bitcoin, anticipating a surge in capital inflow into the digital asset once the Securities and Exchange Commission grants approval for a spot Bitcoin ETF. In a recent CNBC interview, Michael Sonnenschein, the CEO of Grayscale, echoed this sentiment, highlighting the approval of a spot Bitcoin ETF as an extraordinary opportunity, potentially unlocking a massive $30 trillion market for the leading cryptocurrency. The anticipation of this development has sparked optimism among investors. Here are some excerpts from the insightful interview.
Well, I think if you look back at this year, the price appreciation you've seen in Bitcoin has really been driven by both the macro and micro forces. I think you're right on the macro front. Inflationary pressures, rising rates have caused investors to think about Bitcoin as a store of value or, a hedge in their portfolios. But on the micro front, earlier this summer when my team had our court victory, I think that certainly unlocked a lot of optimism amongst investors about GBTC and the prospects for it to uplist as a spot Bitcoin ETF. So as we turn the corner into the new year, I know there's a lot of focus on that from the investment community. So I'm not one to make price predictions, but I do think there is a lot of optimism again in the market. I think a lot of investors are adding Bitcoin to their portfolios. And when we look ahead to the hopeful approval for spot Bitcoin ETFs, it really is going to unlock the opportunity to a part of the investment community that, for better or worse, but I would say for worse, has unfortunately been locked out of the opportunity to participate in having Bitcoin exposure in their portfolios. So we're really talking about the advised market here in the US, which is today about $30 trillion worth of advised wealth that we hope the approval of spot Bitcoin ETFs, the uplisting of GBTC, will allow for that opportunity and for those investors to partake in it as well. Whether you're the CEO of a major financial institution or a sitting politician, you're of course going to be able to have your own personal opinions about these new technologies. That could be crypto, that could be Bitcoin specifically, but it's actually those very same financial institutions and, the types of bills that, sitting politicians are looking at now that are actually modifying themselves to account for the needs of modern day investors and modern day citizens. And that includes having access to new technologies like Bitcoin. So you can have personal opinions, but, changes are very much already underway.
In recent developments, Sandy Kaul, the Senior Vice President and Head of Digital Asset and Industry Advisory Services at Franklin Templeton, shared her optimistic outlook for Bitcoin. She envisions Bitcoin evolving into a preferred reserve asset for all nation-states. According to Kaul, the initial steps have already been taken, with less developed nations consolidating buying power around Bitcoin, using it strategically to compete more effectively on the global stage. In an interview with Natalie Brunell, Kaul emphasized that every nation-state will eventually include Bitcoin in their reserves, foreseeing it as a crucial element for treasuries due to its facilitation of business operations through seamless Bitcoin payments. Simultaneously, preparations for the potential approval of a spot Bitcoin ETF are progressing. Applicants, having engaged with the SEC multiple times and submitted updated applications, are now actively promoting the leading crypto asset. Bitwise Asset Management recently released the first Bitcoin-related advertisement featuring actor Jonathan Goldsmith, who adopts his iconic most interesting man persona to highlight the intriguing aspects of Bitcoin. These developments, along with bullish market moves, indicate a resurgence of the bull market. The approval of a spot Bitcoin ETF seems imminent, reinforcing the positive trend. Share your thoughts on Michael Saylor's $1 million prediction for Bitcoin, your expectations regarding the SEC's approval timeline for a spot Bitcoin ETF, and the potential impact on the cryptocurrency market. Feel free to express your comments and observations in the section below. For more daily dose crypto news, check out these two awesome videos on your screen. Click now and we will see you on the next video.